Hello, everyone, and welcome to Plot Twists and Freudian Slips podcast.
I'm Jules, a licensed therapist who spends all day analyzing people.
And I'm Mary, a diehard bookworm who uses books to escape reality.
And this is the podcast where we take fictional characters, drag them out of their fantasy worlds, and put them right here on the couch.
Because sometimes, happily ever after, it's actually just codependency in a trench coat.
So, Mary, before we open today's file, what is the current state of your bookshelf? Are we in a slump, or are we in a manic, staying up till 3 a.m. reading kind of vibe?
I would say I'm in between. I was in a book slump for most of the 2025. So we're slowly getting out of it.
Okay. What was your reading goal for the year?
I think I had on my Goodreads account, it was 200.
Okay. She's an overachiever.
But that's only because the year before I read over 200. So I thought, oh, easy peasy. And then I hit a 7-month book slip. Book slump.
The 7-year slip. It comes up again.
Everyone, she is a hater about that book, and I love that book. So we may need to discuss that book at some point.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so 7-month slump. What got you out of your slump? Is there a particular book that kind of ignited the spark for you?
No, I think I just kind of forced myself to read something.
Yeah, you were 3, 2, 1,
go.
Time to read. Yeah. That actually I feel does work, though.
I know.
A little countdown moment.
But, a good little smutty romance never hurts to...
It does the trick.
Yeah.
Gets you out of the slump.
It sure does. How's your reading situation as you're in school now? Again?
Yes. For those who don't know, I am in a PhD program, so I will have my doctorate in counselor education and supervision in a couple of years, as I just started the program. So yeah, having the time to read for fun, it's hard to incorporate that into my schedule, but I try to. It feels almost like cheating, but it's not cheating, but audiobooks are definitely the thing I use all the time when I'm driving to class and just in between things, doing, chores and whatnot. Audiobooks definitely are my jam. So I think this year I had a goal of 24. I wanted to keep it, smaller. I know that can be a lot for some people, depending on what's going on in their life. I was 2 books a month. That sounds good to me.
Aww.
And I think I'm at 40 something. So yeah.
Round of
yeah.
applause.
But if you ask me if I remember any of the books I read, I really don't. Except maybe 2 really stood out to me, but the other ones, they all just kind of blend.
When you read it and as soon as you finish it and close the book, it's
yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Unless it was really, really bad and it stuck with me, or if it was really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had any 5-star reads this year?
Yes. The Wedding People.
Oh, okay. That's on my TBR.
It's so good. That to me was a little bit of everything. It was fiction. Obviously, that's the genre it's under. A little bit of romance, heartbreak. There's a lot of tears. Yeah, it was very intense. That was good. The Favorites. Did you read that one? By Layla something?
I don't
I'll
think so.
add it in the show notes.
Perfect. I always have to check my Goodreads, and people are like, oh, have you read this? I'm like, I don't remember. In the past 4 years, I've read 900 books.
She's insane, people.
Yeah, I wasn't lying when I said I use books to escape reality.
This is actually the podcast where we diagnose Mary with clinical insanity for reading that many books.
I gotta go.
Yeah, The Favorites by Layla something was really, really good. It was about a ice skating rivalry situation.
I think I've heard.
Done really, really well.
Yeah.
I also think that I cried with that one. I like books that make me cry.
When every now and then I'm in the mood to cry, I'll pick something I know will do the trick.
Yeah, something really cathartic about it.
Yeah. You won't catch me crying about anything else. Stone cold, this gal.
Stone cold Steve Austin.
Don't diagnose me.
This is not the podcast where we diagnose Mary. We just diagnose fictional characters.
Exactly.
Fictional diagnoses for fictional characters. Yeah.
Right. Since this is our first episode, and obviously everyone listening or watching is new, here's how this is going to work. I bring in a character or a book to the table that Jules probably hasn't heard of or read. I give her the plot, the drama, the red flags, the tea, if you will.
And then I apply clinical theories to explain why they are acting like a chaotic mess. So we'll talk symptoms, diagnoses, and treatment plans.
Basically, I ruin the romance with logic.
And I ruin the fantasy with science. It's really a beautiful partnership.
Because we are talking about characters and books, I'm just going to put the disclaimer out now. There will be major spoilers for whatever book we're talking about. So if you haven't read the book, pause this episode you're listening to, go read it and come back. Or if you don't care about spoilers, then we can just dive right in. A quick side note. Any content trigger warnings will be listed in our show notes as well, but your mental health is the utmost important to us, so please make sure you put your well-being first. If something is too triggering, we totally understand, and we'll just see you in the next episode. Well, Jules, are you ready to open the file?
I have my notebook ready. All right, who is walking into the office today?
Okay, brace yourself. We've got some heavy hitters today, if you will.
Okay.
So you've got actually a few because the stories kind of intertwined, so it's two main characters. We have our female main character, Cora Lawson.
Okay, taking notes.
Perfect. She is 29 years old. She is a teacher in Port Barrington, Illinois. She describes herself as a bookworm who would much rather buy outfits for her family dog than herself. Prickly, can recite poetry all day, the whole 9 yards. She has a sister who's 30 years old. And she describes her as like the exact opposite of her. So athletic, bubbly, vain, perky. Those are the words she used.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mandy, her sister, is currently engaged to the main character of the story, Dean Asher.
Okay.
Drama. Yes. He is also, I believe, 30 years old. He works in construction. Cora describes him as having like bad boy vibes.
Okay, blue collar baddie.
I know. Drives a Camaro. Whoa. Cora and him butt heads a lot. Enemies, if you will. They pull a lot of pranks on each other, but says she gives it back just as good as he does type of thing. So yeah, so they have this kind of enemies going on, even though he's technically been part of the family for like 10 years now that he's been dating her sister.
Okay, so he's been dating, you said Mandy, right?
Correct.
For 10 years, and they're
Correct.
engaged.
Yep.
And Cora is slightly younger. It sounds like they're all very
close in age. Yep.
Right. Okay.
All right. Anything else you need to know about the character specifically?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your questions?
Yes. And because you are relaying the information, there might be some gaps, like some knowledge you might not know that the author didn't provide in the book to some of the questions I'm going to ask.
Okay.
And that's okay. So we'll just try to, answer to the best of your ability.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. So Cora and Mandy, any other siblings?
Nope. Just those two plus their family dog, which
Family
they
dog.
rescued in the middle of a snowstorm. Cora and Dean and Mandy were all in the car.
Okay.
And Cora saw like a dog run across the road. So she like forced Dean to pull over, even though it was snowstorming out.
Mm-hmm.
She ran to get the dog. Dean helps her, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, cool. Parents, do we know status of parents relationship?
Yep. So for Cora and Mandy, both their parents are alive and well and together. Very supportive, very much. Don't pick sides, even though to Cora it feels like Mandy's like the perfect daughter type of thing, where she is not.
Gotcha.
She thinks Mandy is the parent's favorite.
The golden child.
Yeah.
Okay.
According to her and her POV. You know?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. What's Dean's family background? Do we know?
Yes, unfortunately, Dean is working through some things with parents. His dad died 12 years ago, so when he was pretty young. He still has his mom, however, she currently today is living in an assisted living facility because she has dementia.
Okay. Do we know if he has any siblings?
He does not.
And then for Cora and Mandy, was childhood okay? Like anything notable that happened in childhood that would be helpful for us to know about?
I think they had a pretty relatively normal childhood. They weren't like poor or anything. They were in a really affluent kind of neighborhood.
Okay.
They both went to school, graduated. Like I said, Cora's a teacher, and Mandy, I believe, if I remember correctly, is a hairstylist.
Cool. Okay. And then Dean obviously lost his dad as a teenager. Mom is in an assisted living facility now. Do we know anything about what childhood was like for him?
He spent a lot of time over at the Lawsons' house.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so the Lawsons' parents are basically like his second parents.
Okay. What is Dean and Mandy's relationship like?
It seems pretty surface level from what we see. Obviously they've been dating since high school, but usually when like Dean and Cora start bickering, Mandy's just like, oh, leave each other alone type of thing. Like she's
Okay.
not really too, like doesn't try and like resolve anything type of whatever. But
Mhm.
it seems like they're just kind of coasting in the relationship, and eventually you find out that it's been more like we don't
Been a
think this is a
little
good fit,
rocky?
but we've
Yeah.
been together for so long it just makes sense to get engaged and whatever.
Yeah. No, it sounds like maybe they're just comfortable in the relationship because it's been so long, but okay. And then Dean and Cora, or
Yep.
let me back up. Cora and Mandy sounds like Cora, like you said, views Mandy kind of as the favorite or the golden child. Does Mandy have any ill feelings towards Cora? Like, what is their dynamic kind of like?
In the beginning, their dynamic is pretty like a normal sisterly dynamic. But later we find out that Mandy views Cora the same as Cora views her. Like Mandy thinks that Cora is the one that's super successful. 'Cause she, has a regular job. She owns her own house.
Mm,
Things like that.
mm-hmm. Yeah, in this
Eventually,
economy?
yeah. Eventually, there is some animosity and some tension between them because this is, even though it has a lot of dark subject matter, it is
Mhm.
ultimately a romance between Cora and Dean. So
Yeah.
you could see where that would cause some, como se dice, tension.
Yes, tension.
Yeah. I don't think that's right.
That was bad. Yeah. Okay, cool. Can you tell me a little bit about Cora and Dean's relationship?
Yeah, so they first met when Cora and her family moved to town. She walked into the classroom and got introduced, and that's when he first saw her. And like eventually you do find out later on in the book that he was actually interested in Cora first.
Mm.
But the typical boy likes girl, boy then like plays pranks on her and is mean to her just like because he doesn't know how to
Right.
talk
Yeah,
about
talk
his
to her.
feelings.
Yeah.
So from like then on out, they kind of they bicker a lot. They pull a lot of pranks on each other. Cora's full name is Cora Bell, and she hates
Okay.
being called that, but Dean
Yeah.
always calls her that.
I would hate that too.
Other like different pranks, like he wrapped a Christmas present for her and it ended up being a vibrator that she opened up in front of her entire family. All sorts of different pranks, some more harmless than others. But Cora calls Dean Satan. She feels that he toys with her insecurities a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
She also believes that Dean is at fault for why her boyfriend of 3 years broke up with her a while back.
Well, dang. All right. Is he?
He is, but not in the way, but not in the way that she is like, oh, he's just an asshole.
Right.
My boyfriend decided to break up. You eventually find out that Dean finds out that her boyfriend had been cheating on her. He said,
Okay.
you need to tell her, and if you like break up with her, you can blame it on me though.
Wow.
So don't tell her you cheated on her. Just blame it on me so she doesn't feel like bad. But obviously, Cora doesn't know this till way later on.
Right. Yeah. The romance lover in me is like, how sweet. But the clinical part of me is like, why are we being so deceptive? Why are we trying to like manipulate the situation and not just be transparent?
Very true.
Yeah.
He wants to save her feelings. But you suck to find out you're getting cheated on.
Absolutely. That would also suck to find out though that someone has like known about it and has manipulated the situation.
But that's the least of her concerns moving forward in this book.
Yes. Yeah, there's the whole elephant in the room of what sounds like I have feelings for my sister's fiance. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. And it gets more complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to some of our intake questions, any like previous diagnosis mentions, anything like that we should be aware of?
I think Cora has some sort of anxiety, but I can't. It's kind of blurring together now what she's because her and Dean suffer something really quite traumatic. So then obviously post that. But I think
Okay.
beforehand, nothing's really mentioned.
Gotcha. So then there's a traumatic situation
Yeah.
that her and Dean have both experienced, and Mandy did not experience it?
She did not.
Okay. Okay, so maybe we have some trauma bonding. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, what am I missing? What else should we know? What's important to know about them?
I think that about covers it.
Let me ask you this. For each character that you've mentioned, for Cora, let's start with her. If she were walking into my office, what would she say that her presenting concern is?
Trauma.
Okay, so wanting to work through some trauma.
Yeah, because if it's pre what happens to her, she might be like, "Oh, I'm fine. Like nothing's wrong with me." However,
Mhm.
she does mention that she was really excited to go to a family vacation that was on a beach when she was like 8 years old.
Mhm.
But as soon as she got up right to the water, she choked and couldn't go into the water because of the vastness of the ocean scared her.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Same question for Dean. If he were to walk into my office, what would he say his presenting concern is?
Probably his living with the fact that his mom has dementia and
Yeah,
doesn't quite remember him a lot of the times. She's pretty late stage.
sure. And then for Mandy, what do you think she would say?
Probably the comparison to her sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually her relationship with Dean and that ending, if you get to my drift.
Yeah, making some notes. Okay, speaking of relationship with Dean for Mandy, what can you tell us about, since we already put out the disclaimer about spoilers, can we just dive right into you sharing what happens there with their relationship? Obviously, because it's a romance,
Right.
they end up not together.
Right. So I'll kind of give you the quick rundown of what happens in the
A
book.
little synopsis.
Yeah. So we obviously have Cora and Dean, rivals since they were like 15, enemies, playing pranks the whole 9 yards. Dean is obviously engaged to Cora's sister at the beginning. The book starts off with they are out celebrating Mandy's birthday at a bar, and Cora loses her wallet. And she had decided to stay out later than the rest of the family. So now she's kind of stranded, and no one's answering their phones. So she's forced to call Dean, and Dean picks up right away, comes to get her. While she's waiting for him, this creepy guy comes up to her and is like saying, "Oh, you're so beautiful," like da da da, like
Just being real creepy.
just a real creepy weirdo. Dean pulls up, he comes up to her and he's like, "Oh, are you ready to go?" And then the creepy guy goes, and this is important. He goes, "Oh, are you guys like together?" And Dean basically goes like, "Fuck no," and then they get in the car and they leave.
Rude.
Right. Then, so they start driving home. And then all of a sudden, police lights go on behind them. It's like, oh, shit, we're getting pulled over. Nope, it's just the creepy guy coming and violently abducting them.
What?
Yeah?
Wait, was he a cop or was he
No,
pretending
he wasn't
to
a cop.
be?
He was just pretending to be a cop.
Okay.
Yeah. And he abducts them and brings them to his house and chains them up in his basement.
Okay, so we're talking about like major T trauma here.
Major tree trauma.
Okay.
Trauma.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, lots of forced proximity in this one. They are forced to endure the captivity together.
Is this like the main plot of the book, or is this just like a side
It's
event?
like, there's like, kind of like 2 to 3 parts of the book. The first part is them in like their captivity. The second part is them post-captivity, surviving, dealing with that. And then the third
I
part
was not expecting a
I
book
know.
like this.
I
Okay. I
know,
thought
I
it was
know.
just going to be like, something simple. Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's complicated.
Heavy hitter.
Heavy
first
hitter,
book.
right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yep, they're in captivity.
They're in captivity in this man's basement. They have to deal with a lot of stuff that his name is Earl, the creepy guy. We find out his name
Of course it
Earl.
is.
We find out that he has done this before because he mentions his pets in that they're all buried in his yard. He unfortunately rapes Cora quite a few times. And Dean obviously has to watch that because they're chained up but on the like opposite sides of the room.
Right.
So Cora has to go through that as well as Dean having to see that. Then eventually Earl forces Dean to come over to Cora and have sex with her. He's like, and if you don't have sex with her, I'm gonna shoot you right now with this gun.
Okay.
And Dean's like, kill me. Just, I'm not doing that. And Cora's like, no, just do it. Like, I'm consenting to you doing this so you
Mary,
don't die.
this is a terrible book.
No, it's so good. It's so good.
I even the plot, I'm sure, like, it's well written and whatnot, but, like, oh my gosh.
I know, I told you, trauma.
Yeah, I was not
baby.
expecting this. Okay, so that all happens.
Yep, and then they find out that he has done this quite a few times to people.
Right.
And so one day they find a way to get Cora unlocked. So she goes to escape, and she's like, I will call for help, whatever. She gets up to the main part of the house, goes to walk outside, thinking Earl's at work. Surprise, he's not at work. Today's Thanksgiving. So then they're back in the basement or whatever. But eventually bless you.
Excuse me.
Eventually,
all this trauma is making me like sneeze.
I know, ill. That's why I said like the trigger content warnings up the wazoo. So obviously, but eventually he like unlocks Dean to like make him come over again, and Dean pummels him to death. So he kills Earl. So that's something that now he has to deal with. Is even though he's a shitty human, it's still taking a life.
Still, absolutely.
Right.
Hey,
so then they escape, and they have to obviously deal with the aftermath, if you will. And the second half of the book really focuses on their trauma, PTSD, their complicated feelings towards each other because they obviously bonded quite a bit in that. A lot of their journey of healing and leaning on each other. And then obviously this connection, this leaning on each other creates a lot of conflict with Mandy and whatever. And ultimately Dean decides to end the relationship.
Okay.
Because one, he kind of has come to realize that we've just been coasting, we've just been comfortable, but we're not. This isn't what we want. Right. And I need to
reevaluate
what I want in life. Yeah. So that's just kind of them leaning on each other almost too much. And Dean eventually realizes that, so he kind of ends things and moves away first, like 7 months, so that they can both heal and all that jazz.
Is their plan when he moves away for 7 months, is the plan like to take a break and come back to each other, or is it like we're done and he just happens to like move away to take time?
So I don't know if it was ever explicitly said like, oh, we'll work on it when we come back. It's more like I'm moving. I don't have like I'm transferring jobs, I'm moving, I'm selling my house. We just need to kind of
fresh start away from each other
type of thing. Because basically, while they're like going through the post-traumatic experience, they start sleeping together.
Wait, who starts sleeping
Dean
together?
and Cora.
Cora. Okay.
They start a sexual kind of romantic relationship where that's the only thing Cora's willing to do, or Dean wants more.
Okay.
Obviously, they're in love with each other.
Are they?
They are.
Are they, or are they just trauma bonded?
No, don't do my babies like that.
That's the whole point of this podcast.
I know. That's why I picked the book. But he moves away for about 8 months, and Cora actually does pretty well working on herself. She does like counseling.
Love. She
joins a group for PTSD survivors. Makes new friends, starts taking up bike riding.
That's awesome.
Puts on healthy weight. She has weekly dinners with her parents and Mandy's new boyfriend.
Yay for Mandy. Okay. I was wondering how that was going to play out, but okay. Yeah.
Regular movies nights with her best friend. She has monthly coffee dates with a woman named Tabitha. And in the book, post getting out of captivity, we find out that Earl was actually a serial killer.
Oh my gosh.
And he is labeled the matchmaker because he would take two people who are not involved romantically, take them together, make them fall in love. And once they fall in love in captivity, he would kill them in front of each other and make them watch.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Tabitha was actually one of his victims, but she escaped. Because she like women power. So she was kidnapped with her professor at the time.
Okay.
And they fell in love, whatever. And she really played Earl, made think she was like really into Earl and what he was doing and everything.
Gotcha.
So when her like partner died, he let her go.
Interesting.
So they've been getting monthly coffee dates because obviously they're the only two that know what they truly went through with their
Except for Dean, who has moved away. So talk us through. I'm assuming Dean comes back to town, or
eventually about 8 months later, Cora's still kind of having nightmares, but she has started to listen to inspirational podcasts and books. She gets a tattoo of a heartbeat on her wrist because there's a part in the book when they're in captivity and Dean is forced to do what he has to do. He puts his 2 fingers on her wrist and says, just focus on this. If it's still
Right.
beating, you're still okay. She gets a tattoo. So it's 8 months later after he'd moved away. He moved 3 hours away.
Okay.
So she's still having nightmares, still sleeps with the light on.
Sure.
They and Dean do text occasionally. I'm just checking in, but nothing
serious.
Yeah. And then one day when she's at the coffee shop that she had met Tabitha at, she runs into him.
Okay, so he's back in town.
He's back in town for, I can't remember what he was back in town for, but it's kind of like a little awkward, first time they're meeting.
Right.
And eventually Cora's like, can we go on a date? And then they're like, yes. During the date, they say they haven't been seeing other people. You want to work on this. Happily ever after. They're in love. And nothing happens to them ever again.
Okay. I'm having a lot of thoughts. Thanks for giving us the backstory. I feel like
Of course.
I have more information to gather for, a fuller clinical picture.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Lot of trauma. When you were talking about them going through a shared traumatic experience, I was like, oh, they were in a car accident. Or you mentioned the water, her talking about it being vast or whatever. And I was like, oh, they almost drowned. Yeah.
Nope.
That's insane.
I know.
So what's the title of this book?
Still Beating.
Still Beating.
By Jennifer Hartman.
Jennifer Hartman. That's wild. Girl, you wild for this.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I love
well,
it. It's a 5-star read for me, so.
Wow.
Ruin that for me, if you will.
Yeah, I'm about to. No, and I'm sure the book is well written and it sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of red flags, with these two characters that you love.
Man, I know.
All right, let's dive into kind of the diagnosis part.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm not. I actually brought out my handy dandy DSM-5.
And for the regular people listening, what is that?
Yes, DSM-5 is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and this is the 5th edition. So every so often they come out with other editions, and I think
updated stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I want to say that there is a newer edition out. I'll have to fact check myself. And I'll add it in the show notes if that is the case. But so it has all of the diagnoses that counselors use when we diagnose people. Psychologists and psychiatrists and other mental health professionals, also utilize this book. It has each disorder and then a description of what the disorder is, and then it has a bunch of criteria, kind of almost like a checklist to see if your client or patient meets the criteria. And I will say, as a little bit of a disclaimer, as a more holistic counselor, I don't like the DSM. I don't like to give out diagnoses. Usually it's related to insurance. Like if you don't give out a diagnosis for a client, then insurance won't cover your session kind of thing, which, so.
We love insurance.
We love insurance. We don't.
We don't.
But that's the world that we live in right now. So
unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately. So let's see. Flip through this. Definitely thinking then, I feel like we don't know enough about Mandy to give her a diagnosis, so we'll stick to Cora and Dean.
Right.
Probably. When Cora was going through it after all the trauma, any signs of depression, sadness, anything like that?
Yeah. I missed a really important part. Oh my god.
That's okay.
Basically, she's having a lot of nightmares. She takes sleeping pills to sleep at night.
Okay.
She needs to talk on the phone to Dean every night in order to be able to fall asleep. Also, we find out that Cora got pregnant while she was down there.
Holy shit.
But she lost the baby. I was dealing with the trauma of getting kidnapped and all that, and then losing a kid, and then whatever.
Well, so jumping back into it, we have located post-traumatic stress disorder. It's probably one of the bigger diagnoses that's standing out to me for both Cora and Dean. So some information about PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, is what it's now called. There has to be exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence in one or more of the following ways. So directly experiencing the traumatic event, check. Witnessing in person the event as it occurred to others, check. Learning that the traumatic event occurred to a close family member or close friend, check. I mean, they were like in there, both of them. Experiencing repeated or extreme exposure to aversive details of the traumatic events, which is not so much check, because that's more like first responders, like working with victims or survivors, police officers having to hear details or see photos of things like that. Even like counselors, like having sessions and having to repeatedly hear traumatic things. So not so much check for that, but definitely they hit a lot of the other criteria. And then another section would be presence of one or more of the following intrusion symptoms associated with a traumatic event beginning after the trauma occurred. So that could be recurrent, involuntary, and intrusive distressing memories of the traumatic events. Sounds like
so she
that's a
has
thing.
Nightmares. Yep. Both of them
Absolutely. Oh, that lines up with the next one, which is reoccurrent distressing dreams.
Yep.
Dissociative reactions. So that would be like flashbacks.
I would say they have some of that.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Intense or prolonged psychological distress at exposure to internal or external cues that symbolize or resemble an aspect of the traumatic event.
So Dean starts drinking a lot. Cora starts taking sleeping pills and also feeling a lot of guilt she feels guilty for the ending of Dean and Mandy's relationship as well.
Okay. Yeah, and then marked physiological reaction to internal or external cues that symbolize or resemble an aspect of the traumatic event. So that would be like having body feelings, like your stomach hurts when you see someone who you think looks like the perpetrator or something like that. Or if you hear a sound that reminds you of the traumatic event, you might like try to run and hide. Or, maybe like you just get this icky feeling or, whatever. And then also persistent avoidance of stimuli associated with the traumatic event beginning after the traumatic event occurred. So that would be avoidance of or efforts to avoid distressing memories. So that's kind of like you're saying with the excessive drinking and utilizing the sleeping medication. It sounds like they're trying to do that to avoid. Is that a yes?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. That's
Are we on track?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're lining up with PTSD, both of them probably.
Definitely.
Okay. And there's a bunch of other criteria that I think they probably would, their symptoms and whatnot would probably be aligned with. But I think we can probably safely, confidently give them both a PTSD diagnosis and then also probably anxiety. It sounds like, especially for Cora, I don't know so much about Dean, but anxiety related to the nightmares. And you said something along the lines of like only being able to sleep with him or only being on the phone with him. You can't fall asleep without talking to him on the phone.
Yeah,
things
they
like that.
talk on the phone every night. They kind of lean on one another. Cora tries to go on a double date and he sabotages it.
Okay.
Cora will like rub her wrist raw, the same one that Dean kind of would touch during their time.
Yeah.
They sleep together for the first time post being in the basement, and Cora freaks out and like tries to end things between them. And then she also does attempt to commit suicide by taking all of her sleeping pills.
Gotcha. So some suicidal ideation and an attempt as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. A lot going on there. So the diagnoses, you've got PTSD. I'm hearing probably some bouts of depression and anxiety. That's one like clinical route. The other clinical route that I like to take too is looking at things through like an attachment theory lens. So attachment theory is all about how we connect with people, what our relationship is like with other people. So there are 4 kind of like quadrants of attachment theory. We have secure, which basically means I'm okay and you're okay. Like we trust each other, we have good communication, good levels of self-esteem, things like that. Then we have avoidant, which basically means I'm okay, you're not okay. Like you're doing too much, but I'm good. that a lot of times my favorite example is if you are getting a text from someone and they're like texting you too many times in a row and you're like, I'm just going to ghost them. Like, I can't deal with this. Like, you need to avoid the situation. Then there is anxious attachment style, and that's the opposite. So that's like in this texting scenario, that would be like you are the one who is texting someone over and over and over again. Are we good? Like, are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Things like that. So that would be kind of like, you're okay, I'm not okay. Like, I did something wrong. You're okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. And that would look like, you're really good at communicating, maybe too much, and maybe the self-esteem is a little low. And then, so those are 3. And then there's one more, which is this kind of combination of anxious and avoidant. It's called a dismissive or fearful. And there's usually a lot of trauma rooted there. And it's kind of this push-pull between, like I said, anxious and avoidant. So that might be like, you're okay or you're not okay. And I'm not okay either. Like, we're both not okay. I don't trust myself. And I also don't trust you. And it kind of sounds, well, actually, Mary, let me ask you, knowing all of that now, where do you think Dean and Cora would fall?
I think Cora for sure falls under the fourth one, the both anxious and the
fearful,
avoidant, fearful avoidant, because she obviously relies heavy on him, but then when things get too serious and she like pulls away type of thing. Whereas I think Dean is more, a little bit more like level-headed when it comes to some of the stuff, which is why he ultimately is the one that like moves away and is like, we can't heal, you can't heal if we're just not.
Yeah, in this like push-pull. Yeah. I will challenge that just a little bit, because it sounds like he's still engaging with Cora, like texting and whatnot. And when they see each other, they end up getting together or back together, depending on how you look at it. And you mentioned him using alcohol to cope. So.
Yeah, that was like a brief period.
Okay.
But then he stops like pretty soon thereafter.
Yeah. Okay. So overall, I'd say, they, looking at like treatment plan wise, there's a lot to unpack. Working through, for both of them, really working through the trauma would be really important. And focusing too on like, what is the most pressing problem? Is the trauma and the symptoms of that? Like, is that what's causing a lot of turmoil? Or for someone like Cora, it's like, are you actively suicidal? Because we need to work on that first. And then we can do the big trauma processing and work there.
Yeah.
So, dang.
I know.
Those are intense.
Yeah.
Babies. And I will add too, that's so like trauma bonding. Like, yeah, and I know you know.
Yeah. That's why I picked the book.
It's why you picked the book. But yeah, I don't think that they are like truly in love, and it sounds like a healthy relationship and all that jazz. And maybe they can like grow together and work through things together. But it sounds like they bonded over this shared trauma, which makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I think it would be hard not to. You know, you have this very unique, horrible experience, and there's this other person who's experiencing the same thing. Like, naturally, of course, you're going to gravitate towards each other. But if you really want to move on, there's like billions of other people out there. Like, I don't know. But I can also see why they would want to stay together.
And like, Cora did try to go on that like double date, and the guy just kept making weird comments and like not being very sympathetic to what they went through, because it was a double date between Mandy, Dean, and Cora and this guy. So that's how Dean ended up sabotaging it, whatever. But regardless,
still not cool. But
but
the guy was a loser. So. That makes sense. Okay. Well, Mary, for listeners who actually enjoyed the chaos of this book, what should they read next? What other books maybe are similar or that kind of gives similar vibes that you would recommend?
Yeah, so everyone who reads this is going to love it.
Unless you're me.
You would love it too. Don't even lie.
No, you're probably right.
But the author of this book actually has a couple spin-offs from this one. So there's the other victim, Tabitha. She has her own book of her kind of love story post going through all that. The stars are on our side. And then if you kind of like the vibe of trauma,
you like the vibe of trauma,
well, hey, some people work through their traumas differently. Don't judge.
If you like the vibe of trauma, I've never heard anyone say that.
There's also, by the same author, a book called Lotus. And that's about a boy who went missing on the 4th of July when he was, I can't remember. He was pretty young. And then 20-some years later, he reappears.
Dang, okay.
And his childhood best friend, takes him in and, helps him, and they fall in love.
And can you remind us what the author's name is?
Jennifer Hartman.
Jennifer Hartman. Okay.
We can put that in the show notes, too, everything.
Yeah, awesome. So from the clinical side, if you found yourself frustrated with this book, your prescription for the week is maybe going outside for 5 minutes.
Touch some grass.
Touch some grass. Take a deep breath. This is fictional, so let it go.
Yeah.
But yeah, go outside, get some sunshine, especially in these upcoming winter months.
I was going to say, how do people like me who live in Minnesota, how do we get sunshine without freezing to death outside?
Yes, I love that. Well, I mean, you could, if you really, really, really felt motivated, you could bundle up and go outside. If that is not your vibe, like I see the face you're making.
It was -20 this weekend, so.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah.
I feel that too. Of course, there's always artificial light that you could bring in, lamps. They have sun lamps nowadays, things like that to brighten up your space. That could be helpful. Put the windows, open up your blind. Yeah. Even if it's cloudy out, that's still some natural light coming in. If you can, move your body. You don't have to do anything crazy, but even at home, find a yoga video that you like, do some stretching, have some tea, drink some water, be nice to yourself, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
This is a 5-star read for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not give out 5 stars lightly. I think out of the 900 books I've read in the past 5 years, I've only given 20 books 5 stars.
Wow.
A 5 star
so
is
she's picky.
I'm picky, and it's more of the feeling the book gives me than anything.
For sure.
But I thought it'd be fun to read off to you some of the 1-star reviews that people have given the book, because I find them hilarious, because people are sometimes just so passionate, and I don't agree with anything they say. Well, maybe a little bit, but a 1-star?
It's good to hear the other side, though. Makes you think.
Right. Okay. So 1-star review number 1. And I'll put a screenshot of these if you're watching the podcast, so you can kind of read it yourself too or whatever. But first one is, if my sleep paralysis demon was a book.
True.
Fair. 1-star review number 2. Disturbing! ! Not in a good way! ! Romanticizes trauma and recovery! ! Not swag.
Yes. I haven't read the book and I agree with that.
Number 3 is, if I could unread this book, I would.
Fair enough.
Rude. Number 4, I believe. This book would have been better if both characters died. I really wanted to slap my past self for buying this trash.
Dang.
IDQ why I thought I would like this. Harsh. Number 5, this author of this book needs serious therapy.
Probably. Jennifer Hartman, if you're out there and you need a therapist,
hit up Jules.
Hit me up.
And last but not least, they need therapy, not each other.
Yeah. I agree with these. I'm sorry, but I mean, yeah, but
it is what it is. People are allowed to have their opinions.
People are allowed to have their opinions. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Well, in this field, we always like to get a second opinion. So did we get the diagnosis right? Or are we just totally projecting?
Slide into our DMs. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. And let us know your thoughts.
And if you are listening on Apple or Spotify, leaving a 5-star review acts as a little dopamine hit for us. It's very regulating.
And until next time, keep turning the pages.
And remember, reality is stressful. Read responsibly. And as we end, just a quick reminder, I am a licensed therapist, but this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The discussions here are theoretical and apply to fictional characters. So this is not medical advice. I am not your therapist, and listening to this podcast does not establish a client-therapist relationship. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, please contact 988 or go to your nearest emergency room.
All right, and before we sign off officially, I have a riddle for next week's book.
Ooh,
so I'll give you a little hint of what we'll be talking about. A woman who doesn't forgive and never forgets. She must choose between the love that heals and the vengeance that consumes. The title hints at the damage done to the mind, but the plot is about putting the pieces back together in a way no one expects. Dun 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 dun. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye.